Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session of Modern Workplace. We would like to have Ms. Sonali here. Sonali, can you introduce yourself?
So, hi everyone, this is Sonali Joshi. I head the human resources here at Kotru. I have enriched experience in cross industry domains, and now I'm here in the IT sector. And let's see what we have to dwell in today.
So, coming to myself, my name is Rajashekar Mopada, and I head the delivery and operations globally at Kotru. And I have 20 plus years of IT experience where I started my career as a mainframe developer and then moved into multiple technologies and stacks. And then currently I'm working on AI, ML and virtual bot development. And my core expertise is into building strategic teams and implementing PMO best process and practices, onboarding projects and clients, and being highly accountable for the delivery of projects, programs, and accounts. I'm also an agile coach wherein I coach the teams and the executives to improve the deliveries, align with the agile practices, be it different methodologies, be it SAFe, Scrum, Lean enterprise practices. Yeah, that's about me. All right, so today's topic, as they've just told, it's about the modern workplace and what employees would be thinking today. Let's discuss the evolution of the workplace, which is no longer about where we work and but how and why. So, Sonali, can you say something about it?
Yeah, so Raj, I think over the past few years, work has always been synonymous with where we work. That is the workplace. It's always been synonymous to the place of work, the office, so to say, right? But today things have been different, right? Because of the COVID, because of the pandemic setting in, all that we had to do. So it's no longer about just, where we work from. It's also about how, and most importantly, why. We've seen the rise of remote work, hybrid model, digital collaborations. People have been practically working from cafes, from homes, from sometimes different cities and sometimes even different countries. And it's all about why the technology has enabled it to happen. So now that we know that it is the case with most of the people, most importantly, we need to address that it's not true for everyone, right? I mean, there are still people, millions of people who still have to go to office, some by necessity, some by choice, and some simply because, it's where they thrive the best. So it's the whole point of all of this is evolution of the workplace, right? So it's to understand that it's not about declaring that one place of working is better than the other way of working. It's simply about understanding that the future of workplace is not one size fits all. So it's just understanding that there will be different approaches to everything.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Sonali. I think what you said is correct. It all depends on the business need. It all depends on person to person, where they're working from and what kind of clients they're dealing with. Yes, I agree to it. I mean, it depends on definitely the business need.
Yeah.
All right, Sonali. So what do you think employers truly want in this new era?
So I think, Raj, we're talking about, an ever-changing era. Everything is moving around us so fast. So in this kind of an environment, we are seeing shift in the generational values, right? Employees are no longer just working for paychecks or for perks. They're working for, or they're seeking rather, meaningful, sustainable, and overall a humane experience, right? They want to feel that their work matters. What they're doing is creating an impact. A lot of importance is being put on holistic well-being, right? So you talk about mental health, you talk about a good work-life balance, or you talk about, a culture that simply respects boundaries. So to sort of sum it up, inclusion today that we talk about is not just a choice anymore, right? It's become a mandate. So people want, at the end of the day, everybody and any individual that we're talking about as employees or as individuals, people want to be seen, people want to be heard, and more importantly, people want to be valued. I think that's what employees want in this era.
Yeah, I agree to it. And just to add to that point, I think the employees' end of the day, it is their satisfaction, be it through technology, the work culture, be it the environment or whatever. It's ultimately the individual's satisfaction that is going to give them a long career. Yeah, that's perfect. And moving on to the next one, how do you redefine flexibility in this era of changing dynamics?
So I think, it's funny that the minute that we hear the word flexibility, all we can think about is remote work or working hours or flexible timings. But it's something more to it, right? Why does flexibility have to be confined to the time and the hours spent on work? It's so much more. It talks about, or it rather encompasses the feeling of maybe choosing a different career path, or maybe, cross-functional team collaborations, and so on and so forth. So to give you, I mean, you're well aware of the fact, but to all the people out there, we at CodeTrue are sort of, as an experience, we give employees the chance to experience different kind of roles. So let's say today somebody says that they want to pursue something else. We're very open to offer them a chance to change their career paths depending on what they want to do, right? So people work across different departments and roles which blur the silos just to increase the speed of execution and learning. So it's not just about what the business need in the end, but if the employee feels that, okay, this is where my interest is, or this is where my learning is going to be, much more in terms of my learning curve, we've given that flexibility. So I think it's time that we also talk about redefining flexibility as a work and what it actually means in the workplace.
Yeah, true. Well, I think this is a coincidence. Me being heading the delivery, there's a live example. Over the past 2 months, they had the 4 or 5 associates moving from one cross-function team to the other out of their own interest. So that is really admirable. I mean, we are, as an employer, he's looking at the employee's interest for his long-term career. From an employee perspective, it is there. I mean, after a certain period of time, if they're done with the particular cross-functional area, if they want to, if they have the passion and aspiration to learn other portfolios and other platforms, they're welcomed. And we did that at CodeTrue. Well, moving on, we would like to know, how are the employees today prioritizing the purpose and alignment with personal values?
I mean, let's take a step back here, right? Let's see about candidates. And you and I have seen this too often, that even prospective candidates, right? They research the company missions, the kind of projects that they do, the kind of social impacts that they have. They even go ahead and read the reviews about the company and see if it aligns with their own personal values, and then they go ahead and apply. So it's starting from that phase of whether you want to work for a company or not. And then this is one bit of it. Then if candidates are doing it, of course, when they're onboarded in the system, as employees, I think they want to work for projects where they know that, this is an impactful project, or this is something that I personally care about. Let's say it's innovation, or let's say it's, some impact that they're creating. So at every given point of time in an employee life cycle management, right from they are as a prospective candidate to the time they're here as employees, I think all step of the way what they do is align their own personal values to whatever is it that they want to work for, right? So if it resonates with them, they want to work for it. To add on more to this, I think a lot of employees, I think maybe I wouldn't be able to put a percentage on it, but I think the majority of the people today value culture as well, right? We've seen people stay with a company for like 25, 30 years, and we've seen people leaving in a day or two in, companies just because the culture doesn't resonate with them. So I think this shift, right, the generational shift that we're talking about, also encompasses that the fact that, it's everything about their personal values and how that somehow, resonates, or they can relate it with the company's, may it be purpose or may it be alignment with reference to the projects that they're working on.
Totally agree. If I had to talk about it decades back, it was just like getting a job is a big, it's an achievement, right? But over the period, if you see nowadays, this era, employees are very particular. They want to understand what kind of company, what kind of products they're working on, what kind of technologies they're working on, and also what is the culture within the system, to many other areas. So there's a lot of change. Employees are particularly looking at certain other areas rather than just looking at the paycheck.
Right, and also to adding to that fact, I think it makes a lot of sense when they see their ideas coming into life, or rather coming into action in real time. So when they see that impact happening, it's by default, a sense of achievement that they get, that, okay, this was something that I was working for and I can finally see it coming to life.
Right.
So I think that sort of sums up what I had to say about the whole thing.
Very true, very true. The next interesting topic is, which I wanted to discuss, is the whole sentiment and shift around how culture has become the new currency in this day and age where you said employees choose their employer based on many factors. What do you think about it?
So I think it's so interesting that you brought it up, because like I reiterated, and like I said before, and I'm reiterating, it's very important to understand what is it that the employees want, right? So going back to what I said before, they want to be treated as people, they want to be treated as individuals and not just resources, right? So they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be valued. I read it somewhere that culture is not what's written in the employee handbook. It's about what people say, what people tolerate, what people, do, and most importantly, what people celebrate every single day. Culture is, as a whole, if you see it, it's a subject so vast that maybe you and I can't cover it in maybe 4 or 5 sessions if we do it together. But it's in the small things if we have to break it down, right? What is exactly culture? So culture is how people behave when no one is watching, right? How everyone responds to, let's say, mistakes. Are they taking accountability for it? Are they taking ownership about it? Or are they playing a blame game around, right? It's also imperative to understand, and you can say a lot about a company's culture by seeing how safe it is a space for the employees to speak up. If employees feel that, okay, my honesty is going to be awarded, then I am in a safe space. But if it is not, if it is bullied down, if they speak up something, then you can say a lot about that company's culture. It's also about, you said a very important thing, that how do you actually inculcate into daily practices, right? We hear that, oh my God, the company should have this culture, should have that culture. But when you talk about breaking it down into, everyday steps, what do you do every day that's going to shape up the culture of the company? So I think it all boils down to how the management, or the leadership for that matter, listens to the employees. How much, are they focusing on appreciating the good work that the employees are doing and what they are bringing to the table? How much, are you taking ownership for it? Most of the times people, and especially I've seen this in management or in leadership positions, where they promise a lot of things and then they don't follow it through. So that, once you follow it through, that brings a credibility, and credibility in turn leads to the cultural changes. The bottom line is that a good culture or a great culture includes what exactly? It includes equality, it includes respect, it includes trust, it includes collaboration, and most importantly, camaraderie amongst the people, right? So now let me turn around the tables for a while, right? So you have been asking me questions and I've been very diligently answering it. But now let's circle it back to you, wherein I want to just simply ask you something, because we've been talking about the tech space, how that has changed the workplace, how we have seen the shifts in terms of what employees want. So what is your take on it? Like, what is the role of technology that enhances and not distracts?
Yeah, that's a good question. All right, let me put it this way. Technology has a vital role in the modern workplace. I would categorize 3 different areas to define the modern workplace with respect to technology. One is the cloud infrastructure. Second is the cloud communication and collaboration. And the third one is the process and practices. So I'll go one by one. So first one, the cloud infrastructure. If you see in the modern era, we have the virtual machines being utilized by people across the globe. That's made our work very easy. But what are the advantages to the employer and employee? Like, be it flexibility, be it scalability, and the cost effectiveness. Those are the advantages that are coming up with the virtual machines. So which helps the people or the stakeholders within the project to work across the globe, wherever it is. And then the second one is the collaboration and communication. Well, if you see the modern technologies, the modern tools, be it Microsoft Teams, be it Slack, be it Zoom. So all the stakeholders within the project or program or the portfolio, they join the calls virtually, be it audio and video, and they talk about the progress of the projects, the day-to-day activities. They also talk about the rate concepts, the risk assumptions, issues, and dependencies. So this is how they collaborate. They engage with as a team, even though they are departed in different places. But ultimately, they're getting the project done. They're getting the day-to-day activities done, and they ensure that the business values are met using these tools. That's the second thing. And the third thing is the process and practices. So as long as you are very clear, if you're doing a well planning of the projects, you are well tracking, you're monitoring, mentoring the entire SDLC cycle of the project, I think it is immaterial for teams to either sit together or sitting in a different place. However, there are still a certain segment of people, certain percentage of people, even this common era, who would be interested to sit at office, collaborate with as a team at office and do it. It all depends. As I said, there's a pros and cons in either ways. For example, if you take a project which is in red, or if it's deviating from the schedules, that we might have to go for a war room where we need detailed communication. We need very close collaboration within the teams and ensure that no data is missed within one another. That's That's one example I'm giving you. So it all depends on the business need. It all depends on what kind of project you're handling. Based on that, it's up to the employees to choose whichever modern workplace they want.
So I think that's a very interesting bit, Raj, that you've mentioned that, how technology at the same time has, not only enhanced the way that we work, but also how it is so deeply ingrained in our business styles today, in our workings today, that it almost defines and has become an equivalent to the workplace. So I think as a non-technical person, it surely gives me an insight into how technology is something that enhances and not distracts.
Yes, definitely. Well said. As I said, it moves on. It evolves more and more. You never know. As of now, as in today's era, this is how it is. It all depends on the business values and business needs. That's how people choose their own ways. Well, as we are moving to the last topic of today's session, we've already discussed or we've covered about the culture. We've talked about model workplace. Now let's talk about leadership. Sonali, what do you think about leadership, and what do you think there should be a difference in leadership in the new era?
So I think, rightly said, it's imperative that we talk about leadership since we have, spoken about the culture, about the workplace. So we need to understand, is the leadership also redefined? What is it that the leaders need to do today to ensure that, they're getting the employee buy-in, they're getting, employees to come in and work for them. So I'm just going to read a bit because I don't want to paraphrase a quote, but I think it was Barack Obama who said that leadership is all about building relationships, understanding people and inspiring them to do their best, right? So what essentially it percolates down to is the fact that leadership, to the downright of it, is just about being present, and that too intentionally present, right? With empathy and with respect, right? Your employees should know that as a leader, you have the bag, right? It's also about empowering employees by trusting them. So trusting them with projects, trusting them with roles, trusting them with timelines. The more trust you show, the more buy-in it will have from the employees. When leaders are able to create a purpose-driven workplace, it's by default a pull factor for the employees to work in. When they say that the leaders are driven and they are creating something which is so meaningful, which is so impactful, that the workplace itself is, driven, that's a by default buy-in for all the employees to work in. Also, it's about, the collaboration, the mentorship and the inspiration that would make people want to show up just for that, right? So when they see that their leaders are not only leaders for the namesake, but they are people who stand by their back, who are helping them when they falter, who are, inspiring them every single day, may it be professional, may it be personal, or they're mentoring them, to do better in their careers. It's something that would be, like sort of that puts you over the edge as a leader. It's also, that oftentimes when, we've again reiterating and coming back to the same conversation, that most of the times that employee feel that, when you say that you have to work from office, they've seen it as a mandate. They're seeing that, oh my God, now I again have to go back into the office and work. But let me rephrase it this way, okay? It is truly on the shoulders of a leader how they reframe the whole concept around it, how they reframe this culture in a way that office is no longer seen as a mandate, but seen as a tool for connection. So when you said essentially, that when you're in a war room or when you're working with high deliverables with stricter timelines, it becomes so much more important to be able to collaborate in a space, to have that continuous channel of communication open. I think it's on to the leader how they reframe it, in a way that employees are looking forward to come to work. So anyways, I have said a lot about how this is done and how it should be done. But the basic, at the downright, if you ask me to break it down into simple 3 words of what leaders should do differently, it's just listen, listen, and listen. I think that's how I can, sum up the whole thing.
I totally echo with you what you said. I agree to that. Just to add one more point, I think if the leaders could let the associates or the employees understand what is the business benefit or why are we even developing this product, if they could give the essence of why even developing it, I think that makes a lot of difference. Rather than just imagining that you give the task or give the work or an assignment to an individual and you get it done, rather doing it, if we could let them understand why are we developing it, what could be the output of it, I think that will be a good zeal and that will be a good passion for the individual to execute it, because he knows much better on what is the output of it and why we've been doing it. Well, to sum up, as we've come to the end of this session, we would like to reiterate the major points that we've discussed. One being the modern workplace, where we spoke that it's not about where we are working from, it all depends on how and why. And then the second thing is the culture that we spoke about, how small actions can transform a culture, be it with empathy, be it with trust and appreciation. And then the third point that we've discussed is leadership, how leadership impacts the current modern trend, modern workplace. As Sonali said, it's a leadership should be listening, listening, and listening. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sonali. We had a good conversation. We've covered wonderful topics today. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you so much, Raj. It was a pleasure connecting and talking about this. I'm sure that this bit, is found useful by many.
Definitely, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.